Ladies and gentlemen, hello there, and welcome to a very special, out of nowhere, surprise edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. This is a surprise Thursday stream. I don't usually do Thursday streams, which is why they're a surprise. And the reason I've decided to do a Thursday surprise stream is because it's been a wild, wild day on Twitter between WWE Raw Women's Champion Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch. And right now, currently, I'm joined by my dude, my colleague, my pal from the Smart to Death podcast, Anthony Suter. How you doing, Anthony?
Why did you you know what wasn't out of nowhere is the really long amount of time it took you to say my last name. So is this like the RKO version of a Mr. Warren Hayes show?
Yeah, it basically like out of nowhere. Just pull up a quick application so that I can hobble together like a graphic that I can put on Twitter and just toss that shit out there.
Where's Rousey to somehow make a clip of you being RKO'd? Like someone has to make a clip of you being RKO'd for your surprise streams.
Is he in? Is he here? Is he in the chat? Because you know this
I'm not
is live.
looking.
We're doing this live. Yes, he is in the chat. He is in the chat.
I had a feeling.
Yeah, of course. He's so good. And you know, to be perfectly transparent with everyone here, Anthony and I tweeted this idea out to Anthony and to our equally good friend and confidant, special someone, Kristen Ashley of divadirt.com. She unfortunately can't join us tonight, but I specifically wanted to do this early enough so that we don't impede over our boys, Spees in the Benchmark, which will start at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 Central. So be sure to tune in. We'll be done by then. But look, there's a bunch of people we got in the chat here. Brian Bobaruski, John Baez is here. Of course he is. Of course. Robert Larry, Sports and Things Show. He says, Warren on a Thursday. I dig it. You goddamn right you dig it.
I like that Bobaruski is always around, by the way. Like I feel like I spend almost as much time with Bobaruski as I do my wife. I don't know how to feel about it.
I'm sure she'll be thrilled to hear that later on. But let's get into it. Okay, so basically, like I just want some hot takes, man. That's all I want. I feel like Twitter's been on fire today, and it's nuts. Like it's nuts. And just to make sure that we're all in context here, let me pull up the tweets here. Just give me a quick second. I'm gonna get this going here. It would actually be better if I had. There we go. And it's why isn't the Photos app showing up on the screen share? What is this?
It's okay. I can get
and a second. We don't know, but we're not seeing it, of course. Of course. This is ridiculous. I had the tweets already.
And
I had them screen capped. They were already
out of nowhere because they don't exist, I
guess. Well, I'm going to run them through them, and just in case people haven't seen them, basically it started today well, actually not today. It started on the 26th, 2 days ago, when Becky Lynch tweeted out the mug shots from her arrest. Right? Ronda Rousey responds to that. She says, "That's what I'm trying to do to. That's what I'm trying." Okay, basically in the more context, Becky says in the tweet with her mugshots, Ronda, you go back and get that belt because I didn't come this far to collect it from Stephanie. I came all this way to take it from you. Nice, perfect, concise, clear. Ronda says, that's what I'm trying to do, dumbass. You hobbling around trying to be a ginger crutch ninja and taking fake prison photos in the hallway isn't helping. Okay, now the use of the word fake here is very important because today, Ronda tweeted that out yesterday. Becky came back today and said, keep that F word out of your mouth, right? You know, keeping kayfabe alive here and concentrate on getting better at this business instead of trying to remain above it. Looking forward to seeing you real soon. And she photoshopped Ronda's face on Tommy Wiseau. Ronda responds back.
Fucking Mike even.
Yeah, exactly. Ronda responds back. She says, F word, you mean fake? Fake like your nonsensical BS arm bar that doesn't even work and just looks like you're holding the dick you wish you had. To which Rhonda responds back with basically, oh yeah, come to think of it, that dick, not exactly, but reminds me of someone, and she photoshopped the face of Ronda Rousey's husband on the fist that kind of looked like the dick. And it ended with Ronda Rousey saying, Rebecca Quinn, I don't care what the script says. I'm beating the living shit out of you the next time I see you. And this, of course, has got a plethora, Tony, of reactions, including Tommy Wiseau himself, who saw the tweet and responds to Becky Lynch saying, tell Vince McMahon I will introduce your WWE match. Brian Gewirtz, former writer in WWE, said, throwback Thursday to the time I got chewed out backstage because someone used the word hell, quoting Ronda Rousey's liberal word of the use of the word shit. And also Tyler Breeze tweeted out saying, cool, I guess we can say whatever we want on Twitter now. Hashtag shit, hashtag nice. So this is the context here. This is what we're dealing with, Anthony.
Can we talk about the fact that it probably doesn't matter what Tyler Breeze says on Twitter because he won't be on TV anyway?
And you won't get fired either.
That's the most important thing. They're not going to fire him because, they let go of Ty Dillinger because nobody wants to see Ty Dillinger. So,
wait a second. This will be a follow-up to this Thursday surprise. Give me some thoughts on this whole Twitter mess, Anthony.
I mean, it's entertaining. The only thing that's a bummer to this, right, is because Rhonda can't watch her damn mouth. They can't use these tweets on fucking Raw now.
No,
like, because she said dick and she said shit. They could probably gotten away with shit. Probably could have gotten away with, like, blurring it out. But like, I don't know. I think Becky does great. Rhonda's Twitter game, although the hold it like the dick you wish you had. That's pretty solid. That's okay. But as a man that's keen to talking shit to my co-host every week, Rhonda she ain't got it.
It's a little tougher, and I don't know. I understand that she's probably, well, she definitely is going after the man gimmick, by saying well, you call yourself the man. Well, here, what, hold it like the dick you wish you had. But then again, isn't it? It's not as much the crudeness of it that it's just like Rhonda has a fascination with genitalia, doesn't she?
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Because she was the one talking about vaginas a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
remember?
Yeah.
I think we even discussed this. You and
probably
I.
So. Isn't she? I mean, there's a lot of things with Ronda Rousey, the human. To be fair, she's not an excellent human. Definitely not good on Twitter either. Becky's killing it though, and I do like that. Like, obviously Becky's not going to be on air, so like she's suspended or she was in jail. So you've got to do something to accelerate the feud. You got to do something to keep the people that care the most about it, which is the wrestling, internet community. It's the internet wrestling community. So it's gotten attention. Tommy Wiseau might be the biggest winner of all of this because people might have forgotten who he was. So they're putting people over they don't even realize they're putting over.
Exactly. The one thing that I find kind of that I also find interesting in this situation, well, you see, and Dave Meltzer earlier on late afternoon today tweeted out, he basically said, I should have pulled up the tweet, but he basically said something to the effect that WWE isn't there's nothing that's coming out of here that hasn't been vetted, that hasn't been that hasn't got the go ahead, like no one's going into business for themselves here,
right?
Basically is what he's saying. However, there are people, that are going around saying, well, WWE, might not have a clue either of what, what's going on. Maybe the language is, just a little too strong. I have a tendency to think as a work. I'll be completely transparent. When I saw this, I was like, when I saw the final tweet that Rhonda put out saying, forget the script, I'm going to beat the shit out of you the next time I see you. I myself was convinced that we're witnessing a public meltdown. this is it.
Yeah.
You know, in relation to what happened a couple of weeks ago on Raw, where she just froze. You know, is you know, maybe due to the fact that she's been told that she was going to be the golden goose, you know, that you're going to be champ, you're going to stay on top, no one's going to be able to touch you. And then Becky arrives, starts taking her shine. The crowd is turning against her, and it's all Becky's fault. And maybe in her mind, you know, it could be, you know, she's starting to believe the hype. Maybe, you know. So I thought this was a work until that glass of cold water from Uncle Dave sort of went, what is this? This sucks. I don't know what you go ahead and rant.
You know, it's the Mr. Warren rant show. Hey show. Sorry. You know, so I thought it was a work. I read it. I immediately felt like it was a work. They've been doing this for months now. I do, just to put myself and Tama Tonga over. We had a one-time Twitter spat, and even Tama Tonga himself uses less crude language when feuding with me. So just saying, Rhonda, chill the fuck out with the language. That's coming from me, damn it. But anyway, I wouldn't be surprised if she has a public meltdown, because it's not unlike Ronda Rousey to go nuts because she can't handle like some kind of adversity. Like we saw whenever she wasn't this indestructible woman in the UFC, she had a meltdown, disappeared, and ran away. And she tucked her tail, ran away, came back, thought she was bad, like this bad bitch again, and then gets, you know, destroyed again. So it wouldn't be it wouldn't be like,
no,
I could see it. I mean, I could no. I mean, I could see that happening. It's certainly not happening now. Like this is just like consistent with it. I think she's just trying to find where she fits in this world, because I don't think she knows she doesn't fit on the mic. I think that's clear. I think it's clear she knows.
Or does she?
Hell no. Did you watch Monday Night?
No, hang on. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that she's any good.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, does she know that she's not any good?
I think she has to know. Like, if she truly has been this wrestling fan forever, which I believe that she has been a wrestling fan forever. Like, this was true before the WWE was a thing for her, that she was a wrestling fan, right? Like, this has been a thing for her. So she knows that if the crowd's not reacting to you when you speak, then you suck. Like, she knows that's the whole thing with WWE is you go out there, you got to be at least mediocre in the ring, but what really matters in WWE is, can you talk, and can you make the crowd care about you? So she knows, right? Even Monday, when she's like, I just reinstate her. I swear to God, she's taking promo classes from Kyle. I swear she is. I said it last night. I'll say it again. I'm doing it every week. But she knows. So maybe this is where she's like, all right, cool. Like, this is Twitter. I have some time. I can, like, really get at it. You know what I mean? Like, she's certainly better at Twitter than she is with a microphone in her hand. She still sucks at it, but she's better at that than.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, if that's your bar, you know, if that's the bar. Going through chat here a bit. Jamie Tannick says, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this. What I don't get is the WWE keep going out of their way to stop Ronda from getting boos, adding Charlotte, having her beg for Becky to get back in. Then she goes and undoes it. And undoes it all in 280 characters or less. It is interesting, though, that you know, I think the point that Jamie's making here is that, you know, they're trying really, really hard to get people to like her, and then she just does stuff.
Are they still, though? Are they still trying to make him like her? Because if WWE truly knows that she was going to take this angle, right? Let's say that the tweets are vetted. I mean, I don't know how quickly the tweets were sent, but if they were sent with enough time, they could have been reviewed real quickly. If WWE doesn't have a problem with her using the word fake, they do not care if she's booed, if she's using the word fake about their product.
Well, honestly, I think the word fake bothers most fans.
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
Like, no, like, that's something you just keep out of your language, because that's not good.
Right.
But to me, it's more the question of her using dick in a tweet, or you know, the shit. You know, well, that's like, personally, I have no issues with it. These are words I use all the time because I have Tourette syndrome, but which I don't, by the way. I'm sorry. I apologize. I don't want to put, you know, my excessive use of shits and dicks has nothing to do with any kind of medical condition. It's just ingrained in who I am. But the point being that I'm surprised if she used that kind of language, that it was released like that into the wild, and WWE said, sure, let's just go ahead and do it.
I mean, like, they're in this reality era, right? Like, it's everything's supposed to feel like it's real. So I guess if you're calling something fake, kind of works into what they're doing now. Like, I don't know. She's supposed to be the baddest woman on the planet. So I guess if anyone's going to criticize, somebody in the chat here said that Ronda's bulletproof and can say whatever she wants. That's John Baez saying that. But he's right. But she, like, maybe that's what it is, whatever. Like, they feel like she has some legitimacy because she has won with submission. So she can critique an armbar and say it looks fake.
John, do you mean bulletproof from the audience point of view or from the management point of view? That let me know, John, because that might steer
my guess is he means management. My guess is she can do whatever she wants and she's not getting canned, because although this is a completely different topic entirely, if Ronda left and didn't come back, nobody would notice. I'm gonna be honest. Because it's not like she's a ratings draw. She actually hurts ratings. So she, like, is she bulletproof? I don't think so. I think they know that this experiment maybe isn't worth extending her contract when she's over. When she's done.
And that's another thing. And John has clarified he does mean by management, maybe, because as far as the audience goes, she is definitely not bulletproof.
No.
Absolutely not bulletproof in the eyes of the WWE universe. But as far as this experiment goes, see, this is another thing that adds to my belief that there is a bit of of Ronda working herself into a shoot, because of the fact that there's a lot of rumors that her contract will be up for renewal after WrestleMania, or, depending on who you're talking to, maybe it won't be up for renewal, but she is taking an extended leave before coming back. She could be just in a fuck it kind of mood, And like you said before, we've seen it with UFC when she went off and pouted after losing a match. It's not it wouldn't be surprising behavior, let's put it that way.
Unlike the stream, it would not be out of nowhere, is what you're saying.
Yes, so, stream out of nowhere.
I pulled up the chat just because I was interested in what people were saying. But Jamie Tannick here in your chat and the chat said that Ronda's being booked as a face, smiling, handing out gloves. WrestleVotes apparently said WWE didn't know what she was going to say, and that she does have heat backstage. WrestleVotes is not a bad source. I mean, they very well could be right,
and they just don't throw all sorts of stuff out there and just to see what sticks.
No, they have sources, so I mean, there's a chance that they're correct. I mean, they're not ringside news. Sports and Things shows also said that the next two shows, and this is a good point, is that they're in Chicago and Philly next, and her comments could bite her. Nay, will bite her. Philly's going to eat her up.
Oh my God.
Chicago maybe not as bad. Philly's going to eat. Philly's
hostile.
Philly's hostile. People like JPQ are from there, and that's terrible. Awful place. They fucking threw snowballs at Santa Claus one time.
Can you believe that? The bastards.
They did. They really did.
I know. And by the way, since you were looking through the chat, it's interesting that you skipped over the fact that Bob Aruski reminded us that you got your ass handed to you by Tama Tonga. It's interesting that you'd gloss over that part.
Listen, let me just point out that Tama Tonga was retweet and quoting me, so I got a rub. I picked up a lot of followers that night, so maybe I got my ass handed to me, but I also got followers handed to me on a silver platter. Okay.
Hate followers.
Well, call them what you will.
Follow's a follow.
I mean, that's wrestling Twitter. They're all hate follows.
Ultimately, at some point, or at bare minimal, self-loathing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So basically, I want to bring back the point a bit that Jamie Tannock was making earlier, where, adding Charlotte, it's something I haven't thought about until right now. What do you think? Becky over like crazy, organic. People love her. She can do no wrong. Ronda losing a bit of her shine, not only stumbling around in the microphone, but just losing a bit of that charisma, and maybe just out of natural exhaustion. We're fed up a bit of seeing her as champion and beating everyone.
She had any charisma?
Let's move on.
All right. All right. Yeah. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
Humor me.
She has no charisma. I mean, like her and Nia has more charisma than her. I'm more interested in what Nia has to say than Ronda.
There's a hot take for you.
Vacate the title. I'm Ronda Rousey now.
Either that or
I'm charismatic now.
Am I charismatic now? I'll slap my chest. We'll see what happens. But the point that I'm getting at is that, Becky Lynch getting over, super babyface. Ronda supposed to be a babyface as well, but not, obviously she's being overshadowed. Do you feel that WWE tossed Charlotte in here, not just for a question of storyline or giving us a triple threat, but to put a dastardly heel, handpicked and appointed by Vince McMahon, Mr. McMahon, who is the heeliest of all the heels? But heeliest isn't the word, but you know what I mean.
Those are shoes, right? Heelys?
Yeah, Heelys are shoes, exactly. Right. Do you think Charlotte would have been added in there just to have a heel presence so that Ronda could maintain at least a glimmer of being a babyface? Because what she did on Monday, refusing to hold the title if Becky Lynch wasn't reinstated, it's a very honorable babyface kind of mood, right? Well, just tell me what you think.
Well, vacating the title's not always babyface, because Dolph Ziggler did it too during his heel run.
But what I mean is, it's the intent. I know exactly. Vince McMahon vacated the title, vacated his Royal Rumble win to The Rock.
That's right. Yeah.
I know it's not. But the point being here is that she vacated the title in a babyface way, saying, "I want to fight Becky, reinstate Becky." Stephanie McMahon goes, "Eat-ba-ba-ba-boo." So she says, "Fine, I don't want to be champion if I can't fight who I want." It's a baby it's in the way she did, and it's the match we want. So it's a baby face refusal to hold the title. So that's just my point. But basically, being the larger point is that, is Charlotte in there so that Ronda can stay a baby face? God damn it.
I mean, yes, I think. I don't know. I think
great commentary, Anthony. Thank you for coming.
Listen, I have thoughts, goddammit, and I'll get to them. I'm trying to, theatrics. This is charisma. Hey, reinstate her. Truthfully, I think that Charlotte was put in there. Was going to be. I don't think they decided on the heel turn to the last minute. I think Charlotte was put in there because, frankly, she just deserves it, and I don't think it's storyline driven at all. I think they just don't. They know they can't leave Becky out of this main event. They know that they should not leave Charlotte out of this main event. She belongs there because she was there from the beginning. She was there from the beginning of this women's evolution. Really, Paige started it, but whatever. She can't wrestle anymore, so Charlotte is the best option to have in this moment. She is. She has to be there. So, I mean, I think it's more about Becky defeating her two largest foes and having a WrestleMania moment than the alignment of Charlotte or the alignment of Ronda whatsoever. But I mean, sure. Charlotte was probably there to hope that Ronda would stay a little face, but I don't know. I don't. Yes, you're right. Yes, you are.
It's not that I'm right. It's not a question of being right or not. I'm asking a question. It's someone in the chat that brought it up, and I was like, well, this kind of it actually kind of makes a little sense, to that they want to make damn sure that she gets cheered, that she's not the one who gets outright booed. So let's put someone that is a real heel that can really get real heat.
You know,
and that's Charlotte Flair. Wait a second. Are we?
Well, looky here.
Well, look here. It's Kristen Ashley, editor-in-chief of diva-dirt.com.
Hi,
how you doing?
Good. I'm totally not illegally driving on the phone.
Okay.
So
okay.
Well,
I'm not doing that. But I thought I picked up dinner. I'm gonna jump in real quick and see how wrong you two are. Save the day. You know, I don't even know what you're talking about.
We're talking shit about Ronda. It's like right up your alley.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, no, then exactly.
Also,
yes.
Warren, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Are you still over on Ronda, or have you joined Chris and I the correct side of thinking she's kind of garbage?
Well, okay.
Because we are right.
Okay, hang on a second.
Just kind of garbage, though. Not just kind of garbage. Fresh fire. Dean standing by her with his monologue.
Yeah, she's the fire after the vest was in there.
Now, for the record, okay? Now, for the record, and I've said this before on my show, and I'll say it again. I sincerely believe that in 2018, Ronda Rousey was Rookie of the Year. She did fantastic work in the ring. She picked up wrestling really, really fast. Could she have used a couple of years of seasoning before being put in the position that she was? Yes, absolutely. That's what they're doing with Shayna Baszler. And Shayna Baszler, when she's going to move up, she's going to destroy everyone, and she's going to capture our hearts, whether we like it or not, because she's going to punch us into submission if we don't hand our hearts to her. So, that being said, Ronda she had a great 2018. What's killing her right now is her mic work, and for some reason she's getting really, really sloppy in the ring. But
it's because it's not rehearsed, because she's got to call it in the ring, and she can't do that.
Now, as far as you go, Kristen, we've been talking about basically, it's the Twitter feud. Let's just get Anthony and I, we were talking about it. Let's get your thoughts on this. Why don't you chime in before you hit a cat or something?
Well, I've parked now, so I'm sorry if the audio is not clean or
no, it's perfect
or something. Okay,
it's perfect. You're perfect.
Oh.
She's the Don Callis of this stream tonight.
Don't get me started on Don Callis. Look at my sweet glasses. My name is Don Callis.
Hey, fuck off! I wear those glasses too.
Don Callis. Look at my sweet glasses. I wear them indoors. Oh my god, that guy's the worst. Anyway. Ronda Rousey's trash. And the idea, so I'm assuming you're talking about the whole Twitter feud today with Becky. Okay. So the fact that she has to, either off script or on script, doesn't really matter, that she has to immediately mention private parts or, a man trying to be a woman or vice versa. It's so humiliating, and her terrible mic skills and people skills in general are it brings women's wrestling back. I'll say it totally goes against everything that we've been trying to do to make wrestling all encompassing and equal, and it's horrid. She's horrid. And she needs to take 12 improv classes before she's allowed to touch a mic again. Frankly.
Well, I mean, we've talked about this before. I've talked about it on my stream. A couple of weeks ago when she choked, it's not when she just completely locked up. It wasn't a question of her. It's not even a question of are you good or not on the microphone. This is what experience will bring you. If a crowd heckles you and you don't know how to handle it, well, that's inexperience. If she had spent, a few years working the indies in front of 20 people where you have 4 drunk guys jeering at you and being an asshole, well, then you know how to deal with a hostile crowd instead of just choking up and and being on the verge of saying something completely offensive.
But there's been other people that have shown up and been able to talk in front of a mic that didn't have that kind of stuff. You can't, Ronda doesn't get that fucking excuse. She was in the UFC. She was a major star before. Her interview skills as a human, as Ronda Rousey, the human, are trash. She was just interviewed by TMZ over the holiday break, and they were asking her about, this is before anybody turned on her, asking her about WrestleMania and WrestleMania main event and women's wrestling. And she sounded like a buffoon then too. So she just can't talk. It's a Ronda issue.
Yeah, she has no filter. There's no filter. She doesn't think before she speaks. Because I feel like if you just pause for 2 seconds before you open your mouth, you'll know not to say certain things. And she doesn't do that. And, you know, maybe when you're in the UFC, you don't have to talk in the mic so much. And, you know, to be frank, there probably aren't a lot of interviews with some of them, some of the MMA fighters. So they probably don't think about that too much. But when you step into a global company like WWE, you better be ready. And that's where she could have benefited from the Performance Center, and she could have benefited from NXT, was to get some practice. I mean, my God, some of these people are, you know, they're coming from anywhere else but wrestling experience, and they can sit on a mic. It's not hard, but it's also 2 separate talent skills. And she has neither, in my opinion.
Well, you know, this is all something that, you know, we've been talking about the Twitter exchange today. Do you think that that all of this, you know, the talking about, you know, the use of the word, liberal use of words like dick and shit, do you think that this has all been vetted by WWE, that this is okay, or is Ronda having a public meltdown?
She's having a public meltdown. Okay. I don't think a PG company is like, yeah, no, totally go into these interviews and say stuff about pussies and vagina and totally on Twitter talk about dick. Like, just go for it. No, I highly doubt. I'm sure their PR team read that and went, oh my God, like backtrack. I'm sure PR had a very busy afternoon. Go ahead.
To be fair, Brock Lesnar did say to Heath Slater that he didn't give a shit about his kids. But I mean, like, Brock Lesnar's actually a draw, and what are you gonna do? Stop him?
But isn't
it fight him?
But that was very much in kayfabe, though.
Kafabe.
Right.
Kafabe. Pardon me.
Kafabe. Right, because I mean, Heath Slater, you know, his whole thing was, I got kids, man. So that's one thing. But when it feels like she's just taking it to a whole nother level. It didn't have to go there, but she took it there. And there's also this underlying tone of, like, you know, she had comments about Becky and the man and saying really awful things about that whole gimmick. And so then she's just adding on to that bullshit that she had said before. It's not just like a swear word in this case. There's other problems involved with you saying, oh, why, well, because you just want a dick, you know, like.
But I mean, oh no, I'm sorry.
Oh, whoa, okay. There's I apologize for Mr. Warren Hayes. There's all sorts of other Pandora boxes she's opening right now, besides just swearing on Twitter, because that can be like forgiven, and you know, there's other things going on, and it's just she gets so excited and mad, and then she just opens her mouth, and I feel like she needs somebody to walk around with her at all times, or like a social media manager to handle these things, because she clearly cannot. She can't.
I mean, there is something to be said about the fact that there are wrestlers like, I mean, Tyler Breeze is a troll on Twitter a lot, but saying, oh, I guess we can say what we want on Twitter now. And you don't see any other WWE personalities using that kind of language. Even Corey Graves, who's a fucking tool, isn't going after people and saying things like this. And he's a douche to people on Twitter. Ooh, and my voice cracked. Douche.
It's puberty.
Yeah, thank God.
Finally, yay.
So it's what I got for my 30th birthday. Anyway, yeah, you know, like Corey Gray, and there's other people, there's other WWE, you know, guys that have gone after people, and they don't use these words. Even the heels don't use these words. So I could be persuaded that it might be a little bit of a public meltdown. It's a good take.
Sports Things shows in the chat says that PW Insider is reporting, basically confirming what was it WrestleVotes earlier, saying that WWE is not cool with the verbiage that was used.
If PWI is saying it, then it's, I mean, there's probably heat. I would believe PW Insider.
But then Dave Meltzer said that they're probably okay with it.
Oh,
Dave
Uncle Dave was
Meltzer.
wrong.
Dave Meltzer just said, "Okay, I'm sure they're fine," and then everybody reports it. Come on, now. I think it's probably a combination, right?
Mhm.
Like, I think this was. I mean, it seems like a lot of these threads are probably pretty predetermined. You know, like they said, why don't you just go to war today? It's a slow news day for WWE. Go ahead and start a Twitter war, and then Ronda probably took some stuff a little seriously and then got really agitated and went off script and said some stuff she shouldn't have said. And then Becky just came back and killed everybody in the process and just ruled it. So, and that's definitely probably not on script, which she did the Photoshop. That seems not on script. So I'm sure it's both. And honestly, kudos to Becky for, I mean, it does seem like maybe a step too far to bring her husband into it, but kudos to Becky for not coming back with also a hothead. Because, you know, those Irish women, I would know, they have a hothead.
But, and then again, her husband, he's a public figure as well.
Right.
He's an athlete. He's out there. It's not as if, she went and dredged up a photo off of her Facebook profile. She made a fake account to friend her and then went and got a private photo to put it's
have you done this before? You seem very, very polished.
Oh, I have a background.
He does.
Like behind you, you do. And I love your background.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So Jamie Tannick, who is keeping us abreast of everything, says, my understanding in the chat, of course, is saying, my understanding from all the reports was WWE knew they were going to go at each other. They weren't aware that Ronda was going to go full rogue with the death of Kafabe.
Rogue.
I like.
Does anyone know what Sean Ross Sapp is reporting about this? Because if Sean is talking about it, that means it's legit. Chat, you can.
All right, listen.
I haven't gotten my update from Fightful Select, so I don't know.
My God. I love Sean. Sean is not only my boss, but I respect Sean. But the level of fanboy that these two have for Sean Ross Sapp is so unreal.
Oh my God!
I wish everyone could know how unreal it is.
Listen,
really.
I'm a big fan of spoilers, and if you give me spoilers that are accurate,
how would you know they're accurate until it happens?
I mean, they end up being true most of the time. Just saying. Good scoops.
So if I give you some fake scoops, I can have your love for a day until you realize they're not right. Exactly.
No. You don't get the love until you've been proven correct.
What?
Yeah, there's there's earned.
I'll just tell you
trust.
that Sean said it to me in a private DM, and then you'll believe it.
Let's see, but I pay for Fightful Select. It would be in there. It's
not necessarily.
This logic is not going to work for me.
So children,
me and Sean have conversations all the time that don't involve Fightful Select. So
I would like to have a conversation in a day that doesn't involve Sean.
You started it.
You brought him up, literally. Literally, you brought him up yourself.
Chris and I don't know if you also saw, there's because of the tweets that Becky did, photoshopping Ronda's face on Tommy Wiseau's face. Tommy Wiseau actually reacted. He responded back saying, "Hey, Vince McMahon, I'll announce her, Becky's match, essentially."
Ronda Rousey, is that you? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you. Do you think that this is still, you said earlier that you were thinking of, she's probably having a meltdown, but then again, there's a lot of attention that's being grabbed here. What do you think? Do you think it might be just a big attention grab?
Well, I think anytime Becky tweets anything, I mean, my God, when she changes her picture, her profile picture, people are like, "Oh, Becky changed her picture, guys!" Everything that Becky does on Twitter, whether it's a work or not, it draws attention. So the fact that somebody caught wind of her tweet and then was like, "Oh, include me, I'll announce the match," that doesn't mean that Ronda didn't have a meltdown. It just means somebody saw Becky's Twitter. Which how many people do a day? I 7 people shared that tweet to me today. I mean, yeah. I think I think it's a combination. I think I'm pretty sure Ronda has a pretty hard time separating, you know, Kafabe with real life. And I think she's just a hothead. I think she gets heated and she says stuff that is not approved. And then they just, oh, she's the baddest woman on the planet. They later kind of try to cover it up. But, you know, one of these days, her mouth's really going to get her in trouble, frankly.
What do you guys think? Is it too late, or should they just should they turn her heel, or is it too late?
They won't turn her heel. They won't. I mean, she's heel regardless because people don't like her. But they're not going to. They're going to keep trying to shove her down her face in sugary, sweet doses that is not believable. And then when she gets hot-headed, she shows a real side. And people just don't like her. I mean, she's so fake. And some of that's not really her fault. Some of it is that WWE came in and tried to shove her in this role that didn't fit her. But then that does put her in situations where the real her doesn't match, you know, or the social media her doesn't match the TV her. So then nobody likes her. So I don't think that they're going to go and now try to turn her heel. I think they're going to keep on with this Becky is the bad guy and Ronda's the good guy. And, oh, look, Ronda's giving something to a girl in the crowd and the girl's probably throwing it on the floor. And I mean, every time
the girl
she
of Kristen Ashley is what she's saying. She's throwing it on the
exactly,
crowd.
probably. Every time she gives something off in the crowd, it looks like a drug deal. It's really weird how she hands off things. I'm always like, what is in her hand? I don't ever know. But I don't think they're going to turn her heel. I think they're going to keep shoving her down our throat as the face.
Yeah, Anthony, your thoughts?
I agree. They brought her in thinking, you know, WWE has this obsession with all of their top stars have to be like, they have to be superheroes or you can't be the top guy. Like Roman Reigns, they loved as the top guy because, I mean, you know, he looks like a fucking superhero. And Ronda was this badass. Before I finish my point, I do want to point out her mouth has already gotten her in trouble. Because the last time she got her ass beat, she ran her mouth at the promo saying she was going to win, and then she lost real fast. Was it Maisha Tate that beat that ass? I think it was Maisha Tate.
Yeah.
So, and it, you know, it's already gotten her in trouble a few times. Joe Soriano jumps in here.
Well, look at that, George Soriano.
Oh my God, I was invited, right?
A fan site. The fan-sided DDT, fan-sided. God damn it! The daily DDT over on the fan-sided network.
Oh,
Joe,
no, you've talked about Ronda too long. You're talking just like her now.
I know. But I'm really. My palms are sweaty now because Joe's here. How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing great. How about you, man?
We're doing fantastic. Guess what? We're talking about Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch. We're talking about their Twitter exchange here today.
Who's Ronda Rousey? I came to the wrong place. I mean,
no, that's fine. No, absolutely. Please do come in, join our cult. We don't drink the punch yet. We're talking about the Twitter exchange that they had earlier today, you know, and we're wondering, you know, is she having a public meltdown? Is this all kayfabe? We're getting reports in the live chat, and thank you everyone who is keeping us abreast that apparently WWE is not thrilled with the verbiage she used. But I'd just like to, since you just arrived, why don't you give us some of your thoughts on this whole situation, Joe, while I have a little drink of water?
I'm right on the hot seat. I feel like this was bound to happen. Like something like this was bound to happen because she made comments like this in the past too about Becky, right? The whole like weird Freud penis envy thing, right? And then she's always calling things fake, right? Like even like in promos, like after like Raw, like she'll be like, "Oh, you know, you guys don't know how to perform in a real sport. You're not a real fighter. You know, this fake stuff." Did anyone explain to her what kayfabe is? I mean, like,
it's not even a question of kayfabe. Like at this point, it's just like, you know, there's a general sense of, well, I'm shitting on wrestling in general because this isn't a real thing. I do real things, you know. It's not even kayfabe in and about itself. But I'm sorry, Joe, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No. I agree with you. I could have said it better, but that's exactly it, right? Like it's like you're the Raw Women's Champion, so you're the champion of a sport that you're saying doesn't really matter, and you're just beating up on people Like what? Like why should I watch your matches? You know what I mean? Because like it's so weird. She's so amazing in the ring. I'm not going to take that away from her, but everything else is terrible, right? Like the Nikki Bella feud. She like, oh man, those insults she made at Nikki Bella were like really, they were right. I mean, they were awful.
And when you think about it, and it's interesting you bring it up, and that was actually the beginning of the end. You know, as far as her promo work goes, that's where it really started becoming crappy.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, Jim Ross, right? He was like, oh, you know, he said something like, we have Ronda Rousey. Like without Ronda Rousey, there'd be no women's main event at WrestleMania. And that really ticked me off.
Makes me mad too. Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah,
it like diminishes what everyone else did. Because, I mean, the women who main evented pay-per-views, a lot of them were not Ronda Rousey, right? Like they, you know what I mean? Or like Sasha and Bailey when they main evented NXT, Sasha and Charlotte when they main evented on the main roster. There was no Ronda Rousey. I mean, for as good as Ronda Rousey is in the ring, they've been great without her, right? Like
we've had women in the past too, like China winning like matches against men, and we've had women outside of WWE that have made women's wrestling what it is now. Like they don't need Ronda Rousey. I'm glad that you brought up that Nikki Bella feud because I forgot about it. And Kristen made a point earlier that some of what Ronda is doing takes women's wrestling back, and nothing takes women's wrestling back from the progress like making insults about John Cena and Nikki Bella's sexual relationship. Like, why was that even involved in that feud? Who fucking cares? It's dirt. It's total divas dirt. That shouldn't even be a real feud.
All right, listen. Was that a jab at me?
No,
I feel like
no.
she is hot garbage, and I'm gonna exit out here because I'm freezing. I'm in Wisconsin in a car. My dinner's getting cold, and Joe's here, and he's got all kinds of great takes, and apparently no furniture. So I'm gonna leave. Somebody buy Joe furniture, please. Patreon tier #1, buy Joe furniture.
Kristen, let the good folks know where they can find you on social media and all that jazz.
You can find me on Twitter with my name at Kristen Ashley. You can find all my crap at Diva Dirt and Fightful and Daily DT when Joe lets me. And yeah, I'm kind of everywhere. And I have a YouTube channel. I just haven't done much with it yet. So thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for dropping by. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
So, right. So, you know, bringing us back around to the point where, when we start insulting women, or bringing back, digging up more salacious aspects or stuff that isn't interesting about women, it sort of brings all the progress back, like Anthony was saying, and recently there was a very interesting article that was put up on Daily DDT, exactly covering that kind of subject in relation to the Graves and Carmella stuff. I mean, what do you think? What do you think, Joe? Are there continued parallels to be made here?
Hello.
Oh, look at this. It's JPQ. Sorry, Joe. John, Big Paws on the Pup from the No Particular Angle podcast just jumped in here. Right. How you doing, John?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I was just asking Joe a question here about insulting women and how it demeans everyone and brings the progress back. Joe, I'll let you answer the question here.
So the question was about, like, in the case of Rousey and Nikki Bella, or?
Well, and to a certain extent, it can apply to what happened today on Twitter as well. Where we're talking about penises, and are we taking some steps back, basically?
I'm always like hesitant to talk about like taking steps back, but I think it's more like it just shows that we're not there yet. Like we still have like so many steps we have to dig forward, and really, here's what I find interesting, right? Like Ronda wasn't told what to tweet specifically, but she was told like make this seem like real, right? Like make this seem like you really want to kick her ass, and you really want to make this like feel like the stakes are even more personal, and it's like this sort of like anything goes, kind of like breaking the fourth wall a little, but it was just taking it too far. And sometimes I wonder if there are people in WWE who feel like they can't like just focus, especially like when it comes to like booking like feuds for women, that they can't just make it about the competition, that they always have to go into something about like Mandy trying to with Jimmy Uso, right? Like trying to steal Jimmy. I don't know how to term that, but like something like that, or with the Nikki Bella Ronda thing, like Ronda just bringing up John Cena, which wasn't even just like a Ronda thing. We've seen that in a bunch of other feuds, and like how it's done changes every time, but it always seems like that. Like it's bringing in like a man, bringing in like someone they're dating, or like just bringing up this like who cares? Like just make it about the wrestling. It was really good when it was just about like Becky dissing Ronda's promos or something like that. Like just keep it at that level, and we'll just have fun, because it's a great feud. It doesn't need this stuff like taking it away from the actual match that's going to take place.
I agree. John, since you just joined us, glad to have you. Of course, talking about the you were in chat earlier. You know what we're talking about. What do you think? Was the Twitter situation today, was this vetted? Was this okay? Is Ronda Rousey having a meltdown? Is her brain running out of her mouth as we're speaking? What's happening, John?
She's breaking. She is breaking. And I'm here for the ride. I can't wait. We've been waiting for this, right? This has been the pressure that we've put on her to be a superstar when she's no superstar, right? She is cracking underneath the pressure of being the top gal, right? She is not able to draw the line in the sand behind what people think of her character and what people think of her. And because of that, what's happening is that we're starting to see the facade of the baddest woman on the planet begin to break apart. And on some level of me, I can't wait, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know it's not good, but I'm from Philly, right? That's kind of the thing, right, Ant? I know in Waco, where you have a museum dedicated to Dr. Pepper, not all of us can be so lucky. But because we created Dr. Pepper in Waco, Texas, right? And we have Colombian mammoths. Yeah, I did my research. Colombian mammoths, right? A museum dedicated to an animal that our state's not even known for, right? That we had to ship in from Mexico or from Colombia. Like, excuse me, because some drunk in a red suit decided that it would be good to piss off the boo birds. So yeah, I'm ready for this conversation.
The fun thing here is that just earlier tonight we were talking about Philadelphia, and the minute that Ronda Rousey is going to walk into a Philadelphia arena, she's going to be eaten alive.
Oh, it's going to
get crushed.
Yeah, guys, and John, I feel bad that you arrived so late, because I did want to wrap this up so that we don't.
Sure. I know I was punching in late. You're good, man.
So because I don't want to encroach on Speeds in the Benchmark, which starts like in a couple of minutes. So I'd like to get some final thoughts from you all. Let's start with Anthony, since we haven't heard from you in a while. What do you final thoughts, Anthony?
Yeah, I wanted to just touch on this one point Joe brought up was really good when they, Becky was criticizing Ronda's promo. That's like good. That's good wrestling feuds, and like Roman and John Cena was a good example of that a while back. It was only one match, but like the fun was John Cena was telling Roman he couldn't talk on the mic, and they're like, let's grapple now. Like that's good wrestling. It doesn't have to go into this, and I agree with John too. I am here for the riot. If she is breaking, she's falling under pressure. I loved watching her fall from grace in UFC. And if she falls from grace in WWE, please do. And please let Sasha, Bayley, Charlotte, Becky, let all of those women shine, because they deserve it and Ronda does not.
Joe.
As much as I don't like Ronda Rousey for her past comments that I deem transphobic, I also don't want to root against her and say these kinds of things just because of what she went through, in UFC. And I blame WWE in a lot of cases, because even though she's great in the ring and all that, pro wrestling is really hard, not just because of what happens in the ring, but everything else that goes into being a superstar and being a champion. And they put Rousey in this position without really training her in those aspects and really kind of guiding her through it. And even with these social media posts, like, I know it sounds bad me saying like, oh, they should tell her what to say. I don't know if it should be that far, but I think there should be someone like kind of approving it and maybe giving more of like a stricter guideline of what to do, because they've really put her in a bad spot. I'm very much entertained by this WrestleMania feud for sure. I can't wait to see Becky win. But I also like know that there's a human being behind like the Ronda Rousey character. You know what I mean? Like, and I just feels kind of like, it just feels kind of ick. I just feel kind of bad about her being in the spot, and WWE kind of like just, I blame them.
No, well, Joe being our conscience, as per usual, but you know, you are right to a degree here, because we're seeing, you know, that thin line between the character and the person meshing together. When she was having her meltdown a couple of weeks ago, it wasn't Ronda Rousey the character that was having a meltdown, it was Ronda Rousey who was having a meltdown and was on the verge of saying something awful. John, you get the final word here.
Well, so first and foremost, when it comes to her tweet with the imaginary and whatever and all that, like, she's talking about the armbar. Like, her armbars have been the worst since she's come in, because they don't let her actually do an armbar and let her sink it in. So I'm not terribly thrilled with that. Just trying to catch up a little bit. Ultimately, she is in a position where her stock is falling. We're here to watch. I'm not rooting. I know I kind of came in hot. I'm not rooting against Ronda.
You're from Philly.
Yeah, right. I'm from Philly, right, Ant? I'm not rooting against anybody, right? It's like when I say I hate a wrestler, I don't hate any wrestler, because they're going out there and they're providing the opportunity to entertain the fans, right? So maybe I came in a little too hard there on purpose, but at the end of the day, what she's proving is that she doesn't have the makeup to be a superstar within the WWE. And whether that's because of seasoning, or that's because she doesn't have the it factor outside of name brand, right? Or because she doesn't put the work in to get better at everything that's not athletic. The fans are going to turn on you either way, and it's time that, you know, either she takes a break, goes and gets better, or she bows out gracefully after WrestleMania, and we never see her again. Like Anthony said earlier, she's going to be a blip on the radar. We're going to be talking about this for 4 months after the fact, and then we'll just be like, oh yeah, remember when she was in the WWE? And we're going to be better off for it, because overall, what happened today is a step back for women's wrestling. And for a year or 2 years or 18 months, wherever you foresee it, the trajectory that women's wrestling on, I feel that this helps take a step back. And I'm not here to see women's wrestling take a step back. So
there you go. All right, fair enough. And it also makes sense on top of that. John, I hope your baby is having a good night's sleep. Thank you for joining, jumping in. And same to you, Joe. Thank you for popping in. Anthony, thank you for starting this off with me. And I want to thank everyone who joined us live, everyone watching as well. This was an impromptu thing. I think we had a good time. It was a lot of fun. Thank you, Kristen, for jumping in. Go off and watch Spees in the Benchmark. Oh, but before we do leave, Anthony, let people know where they can find you everywhere in the world.
Literally everywhere in the world, at Smart to Death. You can also follow my personal Twitter at Anthony Suter, S2D.
John, it's your turn. Where is the social media for John?
Right. You can find me at Big Paws on a Pup and at MPA Podcast. That's it. I got nothing else.
Joe, what about you?
I'm just going to plug dailyddt.com. That's it.
Well, what do you do there?
Oh, I think I edit some articles there. I don't know. Usually I fall asleep during them and just do the keyboard smash, and it's published the next morning.
Thanks a lot, Joe. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Of course, you follow me on Twitter at Mr. Warren Hayes, or on YouTube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes, or on your favorite podcasting application stuff. So thank you all very much. Go watch Speeds in the Benchmark right now. We'll see you guys next time.